First down and 10 for the 13. Back to Daniel Jackson at quarterback. Low snap, rolls to the right side, throws up the back leg, and it's picked off again. It's Nolan Ewing who trots down the far sideline, dives to the end zone. It's a touchdown. Nolan Ewing, his third pick of the day, goes for 6 points. Jack Mullen under center in flex bone. Has the snap, three-step drop, lobs it up, left side, Kevin Green, back in the end zone. He has it! Touchdown, Falcons! Arnold under center out of the flex bone. Gives out the Zach Dressler is here on the near side to the 30. Makes a cut in the middle to the 15, to the 10. Stumbling inside the 5, and he's hit to the end zone for a Falcon touchdown. What's going on, everyone, and welcome into another edition of the Friends Football Coaches Show, broadcasting from Walk-On's Sports Bistro. I'm Pat Strathman, voice of the Friends Falcons. Head coach Terry Harrison with us, and also joining us is Trey Palmer, senior defensive back. He's in the hizzy as well. For those who are listening to this on ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM, just a little reminder, you can always come out and join us on Mondays at 5 o'clock. Sometimes we'll have to adjust because of different things, but we'll be here at 5. There's the little pause there, Coach Harrison. When you only are operating on 2 hours of sleep and whatnot, you kind of have to adjust a little bit. But Walk-On Sports Bistro, second time here, 2661 North Mace Road in Wichita. It is your home away from home. Great food, great place to come kick it for pregame, get ready for the big game at Adair Austin Stadium, or even after a victory, you can come out this way and celebrate. And for you Friends Falcons fans, you certainly celebrated with what took place on Saturday, season opener on Saturday at Adair Austin Stadium, and the Friends Falcons got a dominating win against St. Mary, 64-20. Coach, I wasn't in the house. I was watching from afar on a TV with a daughter in my hand. I got to say, that was a new experience for me. But I was watching, and I was just in awe of everything that took place. So much to like from game number 1 against the Spires. Let's just get your overall takeaways from the game on Saturday.
Well, we're pretty superstitious, so you can't come back. You know what I'm saying? No,
I've officially been relieved from my duties. Trey Palmer's going to do some double duty. Yeah, that's what's going to happen.
No, awesome opener for us. You know how it is. The first game, you really don't really know what to expect completely. You know, especially with film trade and all those good things, but. For our guys, had such great preparation going into it. We have such an awesome team culture right now. Our kids, really love each other, and they just great team chemistry right now. And so to be able to get on the field and, go lay it on the line a little bit and compete when they're keeping score, to be able to do that, it's fun in itself. But then when you do that and you win convincingly like that, I think it just, everybody's optimistic to start a season, but it just kind of reinvigorates you, and it's even more exciting for week 2. And so, we're excited to see, what that leads to. And, we can make big improvements, right? So we played really well, super proud of our kids, but, it's never as good as it seems, never as bad as it seems. And so it's cool to have to worry about the never as good as it seems part this year to start out,
Well, play number 1 offensively. I think you like the efficiency. Cavante Baker taking it to the house for a touchdown. Great way to start. First snap for him. You house it. Yeah, that's a good feeling. That's a nice little way to say, hi, Wichita, I'm here, this type of thing. And what a great day for him. He ended up with a boatload of touchdowns, ended up throwing for a TD as well. Just the very first play, I saw him hit the hole. I'm like, oh, goodbye. And I knew he was speedy. I just didn't realize he had that type of speed in him. Trey and Cavante might be a nice little foot race. I'm just saying. Probably got to get that on film. I think it would be really entertaining, although Trey's got some experience in the track world on that. We'll get to that a little bit with Trey. But Cavante Baker, game number 1, first snap, boom, touchdown.
Yeah, very, very special for me. It's kind of, I was laughing a little bit on the sideline. I coaching him in high school, his first ever carry as a high school quarterback. He did the same thing. He scored on a long run, and so I was kind of flashing back to young 15-year-old Cavante right there in the middle of that that play. So, it was cool for everybody to get to see him. He's been such a great teammate, and we all have struggles in life, and and we all have our different paths and everything. But to see him be out there, man, doing so well at Friends University, on track to earn a great degree, and then also being able to contribute to on the field has been, man, very rewarding for me, and I'm very proud of him, and it was cool for everyone else to get to see. People have been talking about it and buzzing about it for about a year now. So to get to see everyone else get to kind of see what we already knew was pretty cool and pretty special.
How well did he handle the game in game number one? Because I think that's always an interesting thing when you had that first game, especially for a guy from Wichita. Sometimes there's some nerves that come with that, and sometimes that leads to turnovers, so that leads to some issues. And, it wasn't a perfect sheet on Saturday, but you got to manage a game the right way. It's all about managing, and I know he's used to this offense, but still, you got the jitters there a little bit for game number one.
Yeah, I'm sure. The problem, him and Trey are kids like that. They're so special. They're such special athletes. You just got to remind kids like that, like, you don't have to be special. You were born that way. And just do your thing. And that was kind of my reminder to Cavante before the game, like, hey, man, if you just do what comes natural, you'll be just fine. And so I'm certain he had some pregame jitters, but between him, Cavante, and Trey, and we have plenty of guys like that. I don't think I've ever seen a moment too big for him, and so I'm certain there was a little bit of butterflies for him and anxiety because it's been a bit since he played. But yeah, he settled right in, did a fantastic job, and anything that might have looked like a mishap on him was we had some communication issues as coaches that led to some busted plays. So some of the snap issues really it was coaching problems. It wasn't kid problems at all.
Well, as you reminisce about Cavante Baker, I'm sure you're reminiscing a little bit of Trey Palmer being just up the way at Bethel College. What happens on a defensive drive? He gets a pick right away. I chuckled right off the bat. I'm like, of course, right away Trey Palmer gets an interception. And then later on, he takes a punt return and scores it. I'm like, gee, I've seen that before too. So I'm sure you were thinking, well, nice to have him down here in Wichita as well.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of that, and again, same deal, right, where, you hear the name, and he's been such a dominant player in the conference, but at defensive back and as a returner. We recruited him there, and I've known Trey since he was 18 or 19, however old he was when we met him. But, that's kids like that. They do things like that help your program, and I think more than anything, especially with Trey, there's a big difference between arrogant and confidence, and I don't know that I've ever met a more confident person, and it comes natural to him. It's not forced, and it's not arrogance in any way, and so I think that just bleeds into your team. And definitely for me, between Trey, Keegan, Cavante, and those type of kids, just the way they carry themselves with confidence, and it's not forced, and it's not anything that's talked about, but just naturally that bleeds confidence in the rest of your team. And even as a coach, man, trust me, you feel better when you're looking out and those guys are in uniform, and so that was very cool for me. And it's last year was awesome, but at the same time, I've known Trey since he since he was 18, and so coaching a year without him, when you finally have him back, looking out there like, I cannot believe this is happening. Like, we're getting the coaches we get to coach him one more time, one more year. So it was cool, and then knowing that they do fit in so well with our returners and our current players that it felt natural to the entire team. But definitely you could feel the confidence pregame and as the game went on.
Well, Trey, how was that moment for you, stepping on the field and getting a pick as soon as that?
Oh, man, it felt crazy. I told Coach Harrison before the game, he asked us if we were nervous or anything. I was like, nah, I wasn't nervous, but I definitely was excited. But when I got that pick, man, I saw it. Nolan was guarding the guy that they threw the ball to, and I just kind of, went over top of him, read the shoulders, and kind of made the play.
Yeah, and then later on, getting a punt return and scoring it. What was that moment like for you as well?
Oh, that was crazy as well. Coach Kim set up a nice punt return for us in preseason, and we kind of, worked out for us with the wall that we had on the left side. I thought a guy was going to kind of give me. I kind of did a little jump, but he didn't give me. So I kind of, whenever I turned the corner, I saw green grass and went ahead and took it.
What's it been like for you to be a part of this team so far? I know it's kind of strange to hop in and only do 1 year. It's a little strange when you come in and you're dealing with a bunch of guys, especially a bunch of returners too. A bunch of returners last year. I know 4-7 to some people might not seem like a ton of success, but for Friends University, there were some games last year that could have been differently. And you could have been talking about 6 wins, 7 wins for Friends last year. So you're coming in that situation. You want to come in with that confidence, but you're like, I don't know if I want to step on anyone's toes. So what's it been like dealing with that on this team?
It's been great, man. We came in earlier in the summer, and we got a good few practices in, we kind of bonded together. We got a great group of guys that kind of want the same goal. We're going after it together. And, I mean, it's just a blessing to be a part of it and have them take me in so well.
What's it been like being a part of the secondary unit? I think Coach Harrison probably looks at you and says, hey, you got to be the leader. But Nolan Ewing's been doing this for a little while too, so I'm sure you and Nolan are probably going back and forth. And, oh, by the way, Death Texas, Nolan Ewing gets an interception as well on Saturday, which that made me chuckle as well because I'm like, man, Nolan just continues to get picks, left and right. So to have someone with that much experience, I'm sure that helps out quite a bit.
Oh, yeah, I love Nolan. I love all the guys we have. We have a nice older group of guys. And we kind of don't, we don't go back and forth with it. We all lead it and keep each other accountable, and that's what I love about those guys. We all want a pick every game. We want a turnover every game. We want to just make a play, and that's just what I would ask for out of my DB core.
Yeah, well, certainly made quite a bit of plays. Coach, your thoughts on Nolan Ewing getting an interception too, by the way.
Yes,
I want to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, this is what like you mentioned, he's done that a lot. I think him and Trey both last year were going back and forth, leading the conference for a while there in interceptions. I don't even remember how it all played out, but
sure.
I know they were both at the tops in the conference and interceptions. So yeah, it was awesome. He's just kids like that. I was really happy for them. I'm happy for all of our guys and everybody involved with our program, everyone there. And it's not like you exclude freshmen sometimes, but they chose to join us, right? And so when you get rewarded with a win like that, very cool. But definitely when a young man like Nolan Ewing, Lakin, those guys, Braden Gordon, who came here as a transfer, Jacoby Smith, who's a senior DB, as we're talking about DBs, just guys that stuck this thing out when it was really hard to come and come in and get a big win and see the biggest difference. I don't remember the score from St. Mary from 2 years ago before we got here, but if I remember right, it wasn't a great game for Friends. So to see that flip in just a very short time for those guys, I hope they're proud of that and they see that everything they've done, the commitment they've made to Friends is, at some level paying off, and you can truly see it on the field.
Rushing-wise, you're able to rack up 472 rushing yards, the highest for the Falcons since the 2016 season. So you had quite a bit of rushing yards. Says a lot about the offensive line, and I'll get your thoughts on offensive line in just a second. But to have Jet Cheatham, Lakin Cloudis, Zach Dressler, it wasn't just one person. Mm-hmm. It was multiple people. I know Cavante, we talked about him already, but I watched every ball carrier. I think every single guy had at least a meaningful rush, if not multiple. And for someone like you, when you sign up for all those car crashes every single week, every single play, you got to have some depth. And it seems like there's a little bit more depth this year compared to maybe last season.
Yeah, for sure. And it's great. Just like our depth at DB, we're the same way at slot and at B-back and all those positions. Receiver especially is the deepest receiver core we've ever had, and we've had some pretty good ones over the years. And so those guys – it's just awesome that that they block for each other, number one, and they're totally unselfish and they celebrate each other's success is good. And so I think that's a little more what you kind of saw. And again, can we score 64 points every game? I mean, I think it would be, I don't want to promise that to anyone certainly, but definitely that's a little more what we've looked like over the years, kind of that feel. We've had big explosive plays on the perimeter. We had touchdown passes or opportunities for touchdown passes, and then the big plays. That's kind of what we've done. And so I don't know that last year people necessarily saw that from our offense. And so to me, that's what was frustrating for us, right? To this feel and that vibe of what that's more like what we're used to as a staff. And so it was cool that people kind of got to see that. And so again, it's not even that you promised 64 points a game, but the explosive plays that we had, that's been more our vibe. And that's what, in our stretch that we've had where we were really, nationally relevant and competing at the highest levels, we were leading the country in explosive plays. And so for so many people that misunderstand what we do, they don't see that. Right. And last year probably didn't represent that very well, just being new and getting used to everything. And so I think, there's a lot of reasons for that, but definitely that was a little more of what we've been used to as a staff as far as what it looked like on offense.
Well, blocking-wise, you bring up a good point. I made it a point to watch. I think I knew what I expected up front on the offensive line, but I always, just following what you guys did at Bethel for so many years, you watch what your wide receivers do blocking. And I always came away impressed by the physicality of your wide receivers. And watching the game on Saturday, I was like, man, these boys are getting after it. Mm-hmm. Like they are physical out there on the field, and that makes a big difference as well in addition to the offensive line.
Yeah, those dudes are, absolute studs. Wars, all those guys from, KG, Austin Pratt, Caden Lee, Claude Slaughter played a bunch. I think Wade got in there later. We put him in the game, and he got some opportunities, but just straight their willingness to play extremely hard and really set themselves up for touchdown passes is what they're doing. But those guys, it's so funny. It seems like, and people act like it's this big unselfish act, which it is. But at the same time, there's not anything you can do, any offense you run in the country. If your receivers aren't willing to block for each other or block for running backs, you're not going to be very good. And so those guys have, they've gotten outside of that of what does it mean to play receiver for us. But they did awesome and just absolute studs and wars. And if you watch their effort, man, it was as good as we've ever had as far as how hard they played and their willingness to get after it. And so, you're absolutely right. And sometimes it goes unnoticed, maybe outside of our team, but definitely within our team. We know that every day, and those guys are super talented. And there's going to be, there's going to be a time we're going to get called the carpet, and those dudes are going to have to, we're going to have 300 yards passing and 5 touchdown passes to win a game, and we will do that when the time's needed for sure.
Well, as you brought that up, it just kind of depends on what the defense gives you. And by the way, KG getting a nice little long touchdown as well made me feel all nice and good about him too, because I know KG last year, that was the one thing I was like, hey, you go from a shotgun spread offense to flex spell, like how does that feel as a wide receiver? And he just took it in stride, and here he is in game number 1, getting rewarded with a long touchdown. Friends getting a win 64-20 over at the St. Mary Spires, the most amount of points scored in a game for Friends since 2009, 64 points, quite a bit. And they'll look to continue the offensive output coming up this week against Ottawa. We'll talk about the Braves here in just a little bit. Trey, I want to go back to you. I want to ask, what was your first impression of Coach Terry Harrison back in the day?
Oh, man, I came up on a visit. I remember it was a cold April day. I'm storytelling, but it was pretty cool meeting Coach Harrison. I think I kind of talked to him through the phone in Houston when Coach Kelly came to recruit me. But when I met Coach Harrison, I knew I had a good coach right here, even though I didn't commit at that moment.
I wasn't going to bring that up.
At that moment, I didn't commit, but I definitely knew Coach Harrison was a good coach, and I was putting myself in the right position
He made you sweat.
Football.
He made you sweat a little bit, huh?
I do that from time to time.
You were probably like, man, this guy's a lock. And then they'd be like, you did what? Excuse me? You're not committing yet? Like, what's going on here? I mean, that was a little nerve-wracking.
Yeah. Well, the thing with Trey was, he had the option. He's such a dynamic track athlete. It was he was still young and trying to figure out, do I want to do the track thing, football thing, bow thing, all that good stuff. We actually picked him up at, I was thinking about this on the drive over. There's a big Houston showcase for recruiting, and I mean, it's hundreds.
Oh, yeah, hundreds.
200s. I mean, maybe 200 kids, something like that, that do that, and they do that every year. And I mean, I am committed to doing the research to that, because I believe Trey he will have had the most successful college career of any young man that's been in that showcase. And so we're talking thousands and thousands of kids. And so I really am committed to that, because it's crazy how it works out. That's how Coach Kelly found him. We went down, there was 200 kids. We recruited one player that was there, and it was young Trey Palmer, and got to meet his parents and families. And so I really do think I would guarantee, I would be very surprised if he hasn't had the most successful college career of any young man who's been to that showcase.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, because when you throw out the track stuff too, I mean, pretty exceptional stuff. All right, I'll ask the same thing about you then, Coach Harrison. First time you met Trey Palmer, what was your reaction?
Yeah, exactly right. Just, you see the kid's film, unbelievable player, played at a great high school, was a receiver for a lot of his career, and then popped over to DB. And you know how it is. You got to have DBs to win in college. Just the way it goes. You got to be able to cover. But, when you meet him, $1 million smile, and like I said, just the idea there's people like him, you can feel when they walk into the room, the temperature changes, and he's got a level of confidence. And we experienced that, as soon as he stepped on campus as a recruit, and then, immediately as a player. I believe he started from day one.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and that was kind of when we started a run of having a lot of success. And so coaching's awesome. You gotta give yourself the kids an opportunity to make plays and all that good stuff. But it really comes down to having, players like that. And when you have that, that's how you can, capitalize on, have a little more success than maybe you would have otherwise.
Receiver, the DB. Did you enjoy that transition there, Trey? You
I
played wide receiver for so long, and then you got to switch over to the defense?
Man, I love being a receiver, but when I got to DB at Shadow Creek High School, it was just a different feeling. The defense was always more hype. It was always more fun at practice. So I kind of give credit to Coach Gully for that.
Well, that checks out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
A little more hype, more
sense.
energy. Gee, I wonder why Trey Palmer went from offense to defense.
Yeah, he has Coach Kemp. The energy is the same. You know what I mean?
So wait, hold on. I didn't see Trey Palmer with his shirt off, twirling it around like Coach Kemp. But
he's got the quiet confidence.
Oh yeah, I got it.
Coach Kemp's
more
got
chill.
Yeah, exactly.
What's it like working with Coach Kemp, Trey?
Oh man, it's awesome. Coach Kemp, we got much love with each other. We've been together for 4+ years, and man, it's just so funny to see him coach, and he's just a character.
That dude taking off his shirt in practice and swinging around. What's up with that?
Oh, he's the energy at practice. Whenever, especially when we're doing hidden drills, he's the energy. He gets us going. Coach Avey as well with the beard. No.
All right, let's talk about your track stuff just a little bit. You always wanted to be track in football. It wasn't just going to be football only. It was I'm going to be both track and football.
So it wasn't a definite going to be, but I definitely wanted it. Yes,
right.
sir. Yes, so I didn't start track at Bethel until I became a sophomore. With COVID, we kind of went home, and I didn't get to fulfill the track season. So I kind of started my sophomore year, and it's been great ever since. I think I'll end up doing 1 or 2 years here at Friends in track, and I'm looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they're looking forward to it as well, because to have a player or an athlete of your caliber to be thrown into there, I think that says a lot about what you've been able to do the last couple of years. You're going to change some things at Friends University. I think there's no mistake about that. Have you always been a special teams guy? Have you always been a returner?
So in high school, I actually wasn't. We had a really good guy named Keelan Jackson that went to North Texas. That was our return guy, and he was amazing. That he scored a couple touchdowns in high school, and I was kind of like a backup kind of guy. But when I got to Bethel, Coach Kemp just came and grabbed me for punt returns, and he wanted me to test it out, and I really liked it, so I got to go on at it and kick return as well.
What do you prefer? Do you prefer the special teams aspect or the DB aspect?
Definitely DB.
Without question.
Without question.
Okay, without question, DB. I was curious about that because you never know. Like special teams, man, people sleep on it, but it could be a game changer.
Oh yeah, definitely. I really love special teams, but DB is just a different feeling. Like going against one guy on an island or going into a zone, or you're getting help from you guys. It's an amazing feeling rather than scoring touchdowns was my thing. But I can score touchdowns at DB too.
Yeah, well, it's the best of both worlds is what it is. You get picks and be on defense, have that hype, and then you can score every once in a while on returns. I think that's not bad at all. I think that's the best of both worlds for you. So
for sure.
Pretty good stuff. Coach, we got a couple minutes left here, so we'll talk about Ottawa in just a little bit. I didn't ask you about the defense. I feel kind of bad. We talked about Trey. We talked about Nolan, but we really didn't talk about anyone else. Felt like pressure-wise, you guys got some pressure on Saturday.
They did a pretty good job, for sure, especially not knowing, that game. You don't have a lot of film prep, so you just kind of go and figure it out on the fly. I thought they did a phenomenal job, and, we were it looked a lot like kind of what we're maybe a little more used to, and, we had to adjust last year some things just based on, where we were at, and so I think that's a better look at what we're going to do, and when you have that senior-heavy DB core, that's awesome, and, man, a lot of jumps. Andrew Arnold played well at linebacker, his first game ever playing defense in his life for the most part. He did awesome. Marco Torres was phenomenal at D-line, and, all those guys. There are a lot of good players, and you know how it is. You always forget to say somebody's name, but they did a fantastic job, and, had a couple busts early season stuff, but, I think we played pretty good complementary football. They kind of, if I remember right, they bailed us out of a jam after at least one turnover. I can't remember if it was after both, but they did awesome, and they just played really hard. They picked each other up. You could tell, you could feel that energy, and so it was a lot of fun to watch for sure.
Yeah, well, you brought up Marco Torres, but Andrew Arnold his first game, 4 tackles. Trey with 4. Darius Diaz with 4 tackles, also a forced fumble as well. The one thing I love about looking at individual defensive stats, I always love seeing the balance. If you have one guy if you got like 5 guys or 4 guys, I guess, that make 10 tackles or 8 tackles or more, you're like, well, that's great and all, but to see like the top number, if the top number is like 4 or 5 at most, says a lot about how many guys are able to fly the football, which I think that's the main goal from the defensive standpoint, at least for Coach Kemp. I'm assuming that's the main goal, is to have multiple guys fly the football.
Yeah, it's no different like our ball carriers, right? This is not built around one person. Like Trey's a great football player, but it's not about him at all. Cavante's a great player, not about him. It really is about the team, and so we spread carries around on offense and touches, if we're throwing the ball or not. And then defensively, we run a bunch of personnel packages, and we played a ton of kids. I don't even know that number yet, but it's probably close to 30 kids played defense on that night. and they did a phenomenal job. And you mentioned Darius Diaz, kid out of Wichita Northwest who's going into his second season here, and so done nothing but awesome things, and he's an all-city kid here at Northwest High School. So that's what we want, kids like that. They're local kids making plays.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Trey, where does one find Trey Palmer away from the football field? Are you playing 2K? Are you playing Madden? Are you playing pool? What are you doing?
So I'm kind of a Fortnite guy,
of course.
I'm on the Fortnite,
That's still a thing?
building.
I figured it would have died off by now.
That
was like 2 years ago.
They're making some upgrades to it. They got a no-build mode. I love playing with my friends. Shout out Ashton.
Is that going over your head?
Yeah, I'm totally unfamiliar. So.
The no-build mode in Fortnite?
Oh, yes, sir. They got everything.
Kids these days, man.
I have no idea.
I feel much older now after having a daughter. I feel super old, and hear Trey over here like, oh yeah, no build, all that stuff, way over my head.
You have to save all those questions for Coach Kelly. You know what I mean? Or maybe Coach Murray get him on.
Gosh, EK is going to be hilarious.
I'm totally out. I'm outside.
Does he play Fortnite?
No, he plays Warzone. I played Warzone with him before.
Okay.
Coach Kelly, yeah.
Is he good?
Yeah, he's amazing. I can't play with him because he has his competition level to mine it's way above.
Do you play solo? You play?
I play a little solo, a little squad, 4 guys. We kind of get it in on there, but
I know that part.
Yeah, you
said you
didn't know anything. I'm like, what are we talking about right now?
Yeah. Well, solo, you're playing by yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I was going to ask how many wins Trey has had in solo play, but I feel like
not too many.
It's a big accomplishment if you can get a solo win.
Is that right?
I've had a couple under my belt back in the day. All right, back in the day, I had a couple. So I figured I'd ask that question. Do you have any hidden talents?
I could kind of sing a little bit. I sing at practice sometimes. When the guys,
What are you singing?
Whatever's playing. Coach Kelly got a song that he plays every day. It's a Chris Brown song. I forgot the name of it, but I kind of sing to that and go along with all the oldies that he has on his playlist.
Going with all the oldies?
Oh yeah, I'm kind of an old school guy nowadays. Yeah, I listen to a little bit of R&B.
A little bit of R&B.
Yes,
so what are you? Who exactly are you listening to? Now I'm curious.
Is
he jamming at the Boys and Men over here? Like
I don't know if he's that old school.
When you brought up R&B, I'm like, if you're quoting
but I wouldn't be surprised. I should leave it at that. But I would not be surprised.
Yeah. No one.
Like, yeah. I listen to old guys. Like R. Kelly.
Okay.
I'm gonna stop. I might stop there, but I listen to good R&B selection.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I got you. You have any idea what he was talking about there?
I mean, I'm familiar with the name.
Okay, that's good.
As long as it's not too loud, that's my only. You know what I mean? Like we have a good. I feel like our playlist is pretty good.
Oh yeah,
it's a mix.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
We go from everything: old rock, rap, R&B.
Do you change it up quite a bit?
Yeah, you have to. Yeah. That's my
or
only
else,
deal.
Or else
I'm not a music hater. I'm just like, it just can't be. I need the variety.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You need a variety, but it can't be distracting.
Exactly.
So a little bit of singing's fine.
Yeah.
But
I'm all for that stuff.
Okay.
As long as it's different, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, it's never distracting.
It's got to cross all. Everybody's got to have a song they can sing to. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Yeah. I think that's fair because you got to hit multiple people.
Yeah.
As you brought up Chris Brown over there, so who's your top guy that you listen to? Who's your favorite?
I would have to say Kevin Gates. That's my favorite artist of all time. Because I was born in Louisiana, so I came up on Kevin Gates a lot, and his music. I mean, it's kind of reckless music, but he kind of speaks some language to us.
Who's your favorite artist?
Me? Not Kevin Gates. I'm not even. I don't even know who Kevin Gates is.
He likes the NBA young boy.
Yeah, well, Derek.
I heard about that.
Shout out Coach Hudson for sure. I had to listen to that once.
Yeah.
We're listening to all kinds of stuff right now. Currently, if you come in my office, it's gonna be a lot of Whiskey Myers, a lot of Tyler Childers. That sort of stuff is what I'm into right now. If I'm working out, it's gonna be a little heavier than that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you gotta adapt to the mood.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Right.
If you're gonna pump iron, then you gotta pump it up a notch. Just the way it is.
For sure.
All right, so Trey's a singer. All right, that's good to know. What's something that you're bad at? You're good at a lot of things.
Coach Harrison, I think we came up with something that I was bad at this summer. I forgot what it was though. I can't remember what it was, but.
He's good at a lot of stuff, so I'm like, are you bad at anything?
I say I'm bad at Warzone. Coach Kelly knows.
There you go. That's good. That's fair. That's a good one. All right, one more question here for Coach Harrison, and we're out of time. Ottawa on Saturday, 1:00 kick. they fell to Southwestern, but I watched a good chunk of that game, and they were right there at the very, very end. If they get a 2-point conversion, we're talking about a tight game at 24-24, if I recall correctly, and then it's anyone's game from that point forward with about 2 minutes left, which you go into overtime, and then things really change. So Ottawa last year made some steps forward. I know last year they got the win at Adair Austin Stadium. Now you're going to their place. Billy Maples at quarterback, second-year coach out that way as well. So things are probably a little bit smoother this year compared to last year. Your thoughts on Ottawa?
Yeah, I mean, I watched the live stream, and then I watched some of their stuff on Huddle clip by clip. But yeah, they look good. They, like you mentioned, they beat us last year. They do a really good job on defense. Just have good players. They're older on defense than they are on offense currently, and so. Yeah, we're going to have our work cut out for us offensively, which is awesome. That's what we want, right? We want to play in tough games against tough people, and really we just want to test and see where we're really at, And so that will be a challenge for us offensively for sure, against their defense, and especially they're really senior heavy up front defensive line. And then you pop over on their offense, like you mentioned, their quarterback will be in his second year, very talented receivers, and they have a running back that we've been playing against a while now. Who had has a really good career there, and so at number 14, I think Curtis, he's his last name, but if that's wrong, I'm sorry, but yeah, he's a really good player and he runs the ball really hard, and so it will be a challenge for sure as far as they've got some confidence because Southwestern's been really good in our conference, and so I'm sure whatever moral victory you can draw from that, I'm sure they have, and they'll be ready to play certainly, and so yeah, it's really cool for us. Our first opportunity to get on the road. It is a little bit of a longer trip for us than we normally would do, and so yeah, we're gonna have to absolutely play our best ball, and it will be. I think the tell will be, you generally have your biggest improvement from week 1 to week 2, game 1 to game 2, and it will be interesting to see like us coming off of a win. Can we really, can we attack our flaws, as just as hard as maybe a team like Ottawa who just lost a really close game, and they're going to be hungry, and so we're going to have to play really well, and luckily we have a confident group. They should be, and we all should be, at Fringe University right now. We have a great group of players, but certainly we do have to, fix some of those flaws that maybe we had Saturday, and if we do that, we're excited, and like I've mentioned before, we should be able to be competitive every Saturday.
All right, Coach Trey, thank you so much for dropping on by. Best of luck to you this upcoming week against Ottawa.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, Terry Harrison, head coach at Friends, and Trey Palmer here on the Friends University Football Coaches Show from Walk-On Sports Bistro, 2661 North Maze Road in Wichita. Perfect place to grab some grub before the game or even after, here for post-game at Walk-Ons. We'll be out here every single Monday at 5 o'clock, so if you want to come out and join us, we'll be more than happy to have you out this way so you can actually watch this thing, I guess, in person and kind of see what's going on beforehand. And, of course, if you have a moment, you can always listen to the show every Tuesday on ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM at 6 o'clock. 64-20 win over St. Mary, but we're just getting started. It is Friends in Ottawa on Saturday at 1 o'clock. Of course, you can watch it on the KCAC network. Well, that does it for us here today. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and we'll see you again next week on the Friends Football Coaches Show from Walk-On Sports Bistro.